So this is the From Data to Direction, Mastering Reports in Sugar. This is the eighth and final webinar in this series. If you missed any of them, don't worry, okay? I don't think anything that I'm going to cover today is going to be necessarily a repeat of what we talked about before. Now, have we talked about reports? Yes, we have. But this is more specifically about reports in general, not for specific situations like we had in probably previous webinars about leads and opportunities. Okay. So we're going to start from the beginning, very basic, and then we're going to get a little more complicated as we go through. I will be doing some demos as we go through, but you are going to have some follow-up videos to watch afterwards that's more about the how-to. I'm going to be doing the why and the what and the when and the who part. The actual step by step, I'm going to do a brief um, report, create a report, but we're going to give you some time to do that and maybe a little slower pace after the session and after you've absorbed some of the knowledge from today's session. So just real quick, my name is Andrea Ayers. I work for Sugar CRM. I'm a senior product trainer and instructional designer. I'm a certified admin specialist. It just means that I passed that admin exam. I also helped work on it. I work in the create it. Sugar University, which is the training department inside of Sugar CRM. I am in Austin, Texas, a remote employee. We have employees all over the world. And I just happen to be in the central time zone in the US. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into, for those of you that have seen this, been in this series for a while, you've seen this slide for quite a bit, so I won't be on it for too long, but we are only together for an hour, and I'm going to look at the chat for any questions that you have along the way, but I will have a section at the end specifically for Q&A. So any questions that you have, you can put those there. I do have everybody in listen only mode just so we can have a good clean recording. I have a lot of people that have registered for this, and I've already been told by lots of them that they can't attend at this particular time slot because of their time zone. So they'll be listening through the recording. So any question that we have, I'll repeat the question for everyone or read the question, and then I'll answer it aloud. You can submit questions through chat. We don't have the Q&A enabled, just the chat, so I have one place to look. I'm going to add in one more time the handout. For anybody that came in a little later, you'll have access to the handout, and at the end, I'll put in the answers to the handout into chat before we close out, but you will get a copy of both of those or links to them on Sugar Club, the link that you'll get from our marketing team in about a day or two. Okay. All right. So why reports feel hard? Okay, this is a good question, and sometimes it's not super intuitive, right? What you're looking at the reports module, and like I have no idea what even to start with. So it's maybe too much data and not enough clarity. Maybe you're not sure which report type to use, which is the first question to ask you when you create a report inside of Sugar. The reports don't always get used or shared to the appropriate people. I just want to know from you if you'll go and click on the or use your phone and access this QR code for a polling question. And let me pull up the question on my side here. You'll be able to see it where you are once you put in or click on this particular link. So this first question is what is your biggest challenge with reports today? It could be too much data, not enough clarity, not sure which reports to use, reports don't get shared or used, advanced reports feel overwhelming. Which ones do you think is your biggest issue? If you've got another challenge that isn't one of those four, that's fine too. You can type it into chat. I'll share those too. So I'm going to give you about 30 seconds more. Got my little timer here. 30 seconds more to answer this question, and then I'll close it. Okay? Let me know what your biggest challenge is with reports. Okay, 10 more seconds. We've got a clear leader. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We got another one coming up. Answer one of those four questions, or you can put it in chat. I got one in chat for formatting reports. There's my alarm. Formatting reports to show details without overwhelming the user. Oh, that's a good one. Very good. Okay, so let me close this one out. So it looks like that there are two really close ones. One of them was not sure which report type to use, which we're going to talk about today. So hopefully we can solve that problem right away. And then the second, coming in like one person less, was advanced reports feel overwhelming. Okay, so and those are true. I totally see that. Some of them are not very intuitive how to use. So that's why we're going to do a little training now, and then you're going to get some more training and some videos afterwards. Okay, thanks for doing that. So this is what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about building a report step by step. And that is what we call standard reports, the reports that are in the system, no matter what version of Sugar you use, whether you know how to do a SQL query. If you don't know what that means, SQL query, then that means you don't know what a SQL query is, and that means that you can't do advanced reports, which I do not know how to do SQL, even though I took a class in it. Choose the right report types. That's a biggie, right? It really is. It's the very first question, and a question needs to be asked in order to determine which report type to use. How to group, how to filter, how to summarize data. Then we're going to talk about using forecasting and advanced reports. And the use forecasting is the enhanced forecasting. And then how to save, schedule, and share your reports. Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of talking about stuff and a little bit of demoing, and then I'm going to ask you all some questions too. So try to pay attention if you can. I'm going to be asking you some more questions in the polling app. So I will put the QR code up again with the next question when we get to that particular point. So choosing the right landscape. So we have three different versions of reports that a person could use. Okay, so the first one is just a standard reports. This is what we're going to demo inside of Sugar. It has a little wizard that takes you step by step to create the report. And then at the end, you have a completed report. Then we have something called enhanced forecast reports. Now, is this for everybody? No. And that I mean that two ways. Will this help everyone, every specific situation? No. Second part of that is it's only for Cell Premier customers. So if you have Cell Premier, and I'm going to just tell you how many of you don't know what product you have. Raise your hand. Just a quick. No one can see this, so it's just me. I'm not going to say anybody's name. Okay, some of you don't know. So I'm going to show you when we get into the lab here in a minute where you go and find that out. Okay, so Cell Premier means you have advanced forecasting, and it is a very robust version of reports. And it doesn't baby step you as much as our standard reports do. It basically is you put in what you need. You need to put your own filters in, put them in when you want to. What kind of data do you want to see? What kind of chart do you want to have? How do you want to group this data? That it's a little bit more segmented, if you will. Okay. And then there are advanced reports. Now, advanced reports comes with every version of Sugar. Now, how many of you know that we even had advanced reports? Raise your hand. We have advanced reports. You already knew that. Okay, so I'm going to give you a percentage of how many people. Ooh, not very many. Oof. So that I would say less than a quarter of you knew that we even had advanced reports. So advanced reports is located in the reports module. It's the last option in the menu. Okay. If you know how, or you have somebody that's a database expert, um, and they know SQL, they can access, or you can allow them access to run different types of reports. Like this particular little tiny version of this report is a list of users by role. Okay, which I've had in class before. People have said, well, how do you tell which users, what roles that users are in? Well, this report would kind of tell you that information. Um, and and lots and lots of other detailed information too. That's just a mini example of advanced reports, but you have to know SQL in order to do it, SQL. So those are the three types. So let's talk about standard reports first, and then we'll get to the other two a little later, okay? So standard reports, these are the questions you need to ask before you even touch sugar, okay? Very important. The first one is why? Why am I building this report? So here's an example. I am building this report to understand which opportunities are most likely to close this quarter, right? Great report. That all sales teams should want to know that. The report always should start with the business question or the business goal. Okay. What are you trying to accomplish? Not a feature, right? What is the purpose of this report? Now, after you create the report and you look back, you need to be able to say, yep, this report does tell me how opportunities are most likely to close this quarter. It does tell me that thing that I wanted it to be at the very beginning. Okay. The second question, this is before you touch sugar again. Who is my audience for this report? Example, this report is primarily for my sales team managing their pipeline. Great. The audience is going to determine the report type. Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to define our report types by users here in a minute. Level of detail, because we have some reports that are extremely high level, right? They do have no actual, when you look at it, data, like it's based on data that's in sugar, but you can't see it in the actual report. And what kind of my goodness, my tongue is not working. Visualization do you need to display for that particular audience? Okay, what works best? Do you just show them a bunch of numbers? Do they always need a chart? Though all that's important. Okay, third question. What decision does this report support? For example, this report will help someone decide which deals need to be attended to this week. Okay, need attention this week. If the report doesn't support a decision, right, it's just data. It's not actually, there's no real purpose for it. So it needs to support some kind of decision. So we're talking about the why, the who, and the what of the particular report. So having said that, these three questions, and yes, FYI, that's on your handout, and I'll be giving you the answers sheet later, okay? So the first and most commonly used report type is row and column. It looks like Excel. Can it do everything Excel can do? Absolutely not. It is a row, that's it, rows and columns report. And it just gives you total count, right? Based on whatever filter you put in. It's very simple. In older versions of sugar, it was the only one that you could export, but now we can export all of them. And it just does the rows and columns with the header, okay? For each of the particular category. The only kind of thing that you can do on this particular type of report that's going to make it a little more dynamic is your filters. Summation report and matrix, which we'll talk about in just a moment, are very high level reports. Okay. It has none of the data that you're going to see in a row and column. It's row and column, it's just data. Here is all the data. I'm not grouping it into anything, and you cannot have a chart with it. Summation, you can have a chart. Summation with detail, you can have a chart. Matrix, you can have a chart, but row and column, you cannot. So summation is just the numbers, right? We can group up to 3 different categories if we want, but it's just very detailed. Now, the warning I would give you about summation and grouping, don't get too aggressive, is that the right word, to have too many groupings because it will look a little cluttered. Just going to be honest with you. When you create a summation report with 3 different versions, especially in summation with detailed. So summation report is a very simple report. Here's the numbers that fit into each of these categories. Like I want to see the number of leads assigned to each sales rep in the month of January. Bam, it's going to give you those numbers, okay? In any type of format, not just a pie, any type of chart that we have available. Summation with detail is a summation report with all the data behind it. It's going to be a combination of a row and column and a summation. So you're going to see a chart, you're going to see the high level data, and underneath each one of that data, it's going to give you the actual records that are associated with those numbers, like how many are in each category, what is the average opportunity amount, likely amount in each one, what's the min amount, what's the, whatever calculation you want to make, or information you want for each of those particular categories. So summation is just the values, and summation with detail is the values with all of the supported data in each one of those categories. Matrix is very high level. It is be someone I'd give a matrix report results to more of an executive, right? They just want the high level numbers based on category. You can group up to three also. It can have it looks like it's just a spreadsheet, but it actually can have a chart also if you need that. And just like all the other reports, it can be exported. You can also have it scheduled, you can share it, etc. And when I say share, FYI, I mean share with someone who is a Sugar user. Okay. If you want to give it to someone who is not in Sugar, you're going to export it out either as a PDF or Excel document and then give it to that individual, however you want to do it, Slack or email or whatever. So share means inside of Sugar, so another user of Sugar. So these are the four types, right? Let me talk about them real quickly. So just the data, whole bunch of data is going to be in rows and columns. Summation is just that, a summary of the data into kind of a grid box. Summation with detail is a combination of the last two. It's not just the summation, meaning the high level numbers and the chart. It's also lots and lots of data that support those numbers. Matrix is going to be a group by, 2 by 1 or 1 by 2, which equals 2 and 1, 3. Different versions of the same looking chart, if you will. And let me not say chart, table is a better word. Sorry, table. So you can either group by 2 on the left-hand side or group by 1 on the left-hand side and either 1 or 2 at the top. Okay. It is more for executives or even VPs. Um, your sales managers even might want to look at a matrix. Very few users actually create matrix reports because they're not as easy to understand. But I'm going to give you a help at the end of class that will help you go through creating a matrix report. Okay, so I'm going to give you a scenario. Here's the second question I wanted to talk about. So this is kind of a quiz here. Y'all ready? So go back into your phone, and I want to say which report type is best for displaying a sum of opportunities that have a status of close one grouped by month for each salesperson. That's a lot of data, right? I want to display the sum of opportunities that have a, so it could be I'd actually accept two answers here, right? We don't necessarily want the data, the detailed information. We just want high level, okay? I will accept two answers. So you can do one of two answers. I just want to see what y'all come up with. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Setting the timer. It's row and column, summation, summation with detail, or matrix. Which one do you think? So we're going to have it's going to be in the opportunities module, and we basically want a chart that is only, first of all the data is only filtered by just status of close one or sales stage close one. And and we just want to know the sum amounts, and we're going to group it by month and by salesperson. Okay, time's up. Okay, so I have most of you are saying summation. And then I have a split between what's the other two? Row and column and matrix. Okay, so the answer that I would accept is either summation or matrix. Okay, and the reason why row and column is not included is because it says by something. So you're grouping data together. And if you haven't created a report yet, then that's probably why you may not have known that. So there's no grouping in row and column because there's no chart. It's just here's all the data. We're not grouping it by an individual or by a time period or by a stage or a status or a drop-down field. Basically, summation is going to give you a high level view of a particular thing, and you can group up to 3, and so does matrix. You can group up to 3. Okay. The only reason I would say matrix for sure is that when you're grouping up more than one, summation can look a little cluttered. That's just my opinion. Okay. But I'll take both of those. Very good. Okay. So I'm going to go in and build a report. We're going to talk about step by step the process. So that's the wizard. And we're going to focus on clarity, not complexity. So this first one we're going to do is just a simple row and column report. All right. I just want to know simple information within it. Now we're going to talk about some of the things I'm going to show you in just a second. Um, in a little bit more detail, like what is filtering, what is grouping, what is, all of those things. So I want to show you the picture of what it looks like when you create a report, and then we're going to kind of break it down in discussion. Okay, I'm just checking chat real quick. Okay, so here's my training instance. I'm logged in as Chris. He is a sales rep, and yes, he can create reports, right? Everybody can create reports unless, out of the box, unless someone goes in, I mean an admin, goes in and takes that privilege away from them, okay? So meaning that you've created a role and you said that they can't see reports or they can't edit reports or they can't delete reports. You can do all of that within the reports module. Okay. So first thing before we do reports is if you don't know what version of Sugar you have, you're going to go up to your user profile at the top right hand corner and go down to About. About is going to tell you, in my case, I am Sales Premier and I'm version 25.1. So I'm one version behind. But that's okay. Even if you're in 25.2 or you're in 14.0, you're still good. Everything I'm going to show you right now is going to be in your version. Okay. So I'm going to go over to my menu on the left-hand side and I'm going to go down to reports. Now in the module menu, we have create a report, view reports, manage advanced reports. See, that's where the advanced reports come in, and then view schedule. So we're going to talk about um, these three: create, view, and schedule today. I'm going to give you more information about advanced reports. You don't want me teaching you about SQL stuff because that would be a nightmare for you. Okay, so we're going to go into create a report. Now, before you even create a questions like and what's answered. The second thing is I need to make sure that the report doesn't exist already, because anybody can create a report. I want to look and see if that report is already there. So I'm going to just put some keywords in here, and I'm going to use a percentage sign just like you can do with any of the other list views. It's a wildcard, and I'm going to say by state. I want to see a report that's filtered by state. None. Okay, so the not by state, sorry. Yeah, okay, I'm going to put that in the filter. So if there's nothing, I'm going to just put state in. Do we have anything that's has any name? Nope. Okay. So the report I'm going to create is I want a list of all the contacts that are in a particular state. Okay. You could do it by country or region or territory if you have those fields in there. But for this case, it will work for this particular situation. Oh, good question. Can you create a notification to see reports others have created? Ooh. Do you mean have them scheduled and sent to you, or just notify that the report was created? Either. Okay. Okay. Um, you can schedule someone else's report. Yes. Okay. And I will show you how to do that later. Um, can you get notified? Ooh, I think the answer is no on that, but I am going to verify that. That is a good one. Notified. You can stump the trainer. That's perfectly fine. Notify when others create report. Okay, sorry. I cannot do more than one thing at a time. So thank you. Good question. I will verify that answer. So I'm going to go to my reports here. I can click the create button at the top, or I can click it from my report menu. Either one, they'll give you the same thing. As soon as you click it, it starts the report wizard. And it calls it here at the top, Report Wizard. And the very first thing that it wants you to decide on is what report type do you want. And it gives you like a little mini picture of what that looks like. But here's my scenario. I want to create a report of all of the contacts that are in a particular state. So then I can give it to my users and they're going to do a call for, it's kind of like their call list. These are the ones in your state, maybe that fit a particular category. They haven't been contacted in the last 60 days or whatever it may be, right? And then they take that list and update all of their contacts, right? So mine is just a row and column report to start off with. Always, always start off simple. Even if you've been creating reports in the future, create a simple report first. Then you can go back and edit it and add additional details in. It's good to kind of see what it's going to look like at the end and then go, ooh, let's tweak this here and here and here, and then it's the way you want, okay? So I'm going to do row and column, and it's going to be based on the contacts module. Be very careful, contacts and contracts are right beside each other. Make sure you pick contacts. And then here comes a screen that everybody gets to this point and they go, I'm done. I don't know what to do next. So I'm going to break this down for you to help you with this, okay? So the very first step, we're up here at the very top underneath define filter. And we've already selected row and column, we already selected contacts, and now we're at defining the filter. So the filter part that we really care about is down here at the bottom. These are the available fields in contacts. Now, I can filter in a report from another module, okay? I could say I want all of the contacts associated account state to equal blah, 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 okay? Whatever it is on the addresses at the account level. But the contacts may be different, maybe in a different region, maybe in a different territory. So I'm going to actually pull the field directly from the contacts module. So down here at the bottom, I'm just going to put in state, okay? Okay, and there are two states that come up. Each contact has a primary and an alternate. And I'm going to select the alternate state and watch when I click it, all these directions that are in here are going to disappear. Okay, it's not a big deal. They'll come back next time you create a report. I'm going to click it and voila, it's starting my report filter. So right now it says, okay, so you want to filter by the state. And do you want it to equal something, not equal something, start with, end with, blah, 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 right? Right? Is anything is even an option. I'm going to say, is it going to equal? Now, this next part depends on your data. But if I want to type, I'm going to type it out, Texas, because I think it's typed out in this version, which I don't recommend that that's the right way to do that because not everybody knows how to spell all the states, even in the US. But I'm going to make it a runtime. So if someone else uses my report, which they can, and they just want to change it to their state, I don't have to create a whole nother report for North Carolina and Florida and Michigan. I can just do one report, make this runtime, and multiple people can use it for different things. I'm going to add a second filter. So I'm going to go over here to where it says available filters, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit because that seems kind of tiny font. There we go. I'm going to erase the word state, and I'm going to put in assigned. Oh, there isn't an assigned user. So any field that has multiple data points behind it, like the email address, is it the primary email address? Is it a valid email address? You know, all those little indicators that are on email address. Same thing for a user. What's their first name? What's their last name? What's their address? What's their email address? All of that is a part of a table. So in our view, anything that you can't find the field down here in available fields and you know it is a field inside of that record, it's associated to a different table and they call it module in this case, okay, in the database. So we're going to go to assigned user. Okay, let me get my arrow here so we can all see it. Assigned user. So there's a little plus sign beside it, and then there's the name of the folder. Don't click the plus sign to start off with, right? Just click the name, assigned user, right there, okay? And then all the available fields for the assigned user come up, and I just want the username. Okay, so I type user, click name. And I am also going to make that runtime. Now, one really cool feature about this is that I can make this say current user. So anybody that's looking at this report will see their stuff. Okay. And then we're going to click next to go to the columns. And I just want to have the name. So the name is a combination of first and last name, the account name, and what else? Office, phone number. If I want the email, remember, email is not a field, so it must be up here at the top. So I'm going to scroll down to email address, not emails. That's actual emails they're receiving. This is email address, the person's email address. And then I'm going to go down to the section and select email address. Now, if this is going too fast, you're going to have the recording to refer back to, okay? So real simple. That's all I want. I'm not going to make it real complicated, okay? So I'm going to click next and I'm going to give the report a name. Best practice, put your initials. So I'm logged in as Chris Oliver. Oliver. And the name of this report is Contacts Filtering by State and User. Okay. And Chris is who I'm logged in as. You could assign it to a different person if you want. And then you can say who can see your report. Oh, sorry. Is my audio okay now? Raise your hand if my audio is okay. Yeah. Not very, okay, there it is. All right, I'm going to hold this portion of the thing up. I don't know if I've got a bent wire. Sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so I can give it to any group so that they can see this report. Maybe I've created this just for the East sales team or the EMEA team. Then I could put their sales team in here instead. And then they would see that report and everybody else wouldn't be able to. Okay. If in doubt, check mark this box, okay? This is just saying if there's not a username and not an email address, do you still want to see it in your list? Yes, because we still need to contact them, okay? So I'm going to check mark them. If you have a report where the only reason for the report is to pull the email addresses for marketing, then leave it unchecked and don't have any contacts that don't have an email address because they won't need it because they're going to be emailing them, okay? I can preview. I very rarely preview. I just go right because that's the preview. You're going to have to click. It's just more buttons to click. So I just click save and run. It saves the report in the reports module, allows anyone that can see it right then that's in that global team, which is everybody, and then it gives me the report. So there are a total of 6 down here at the bottom records that are in Texas. That Chris owns. If we change this to New York, see if he has any. Apply. That's where my runtime filters come in. There's 3. You see that? So this is just a report to show just the filters that I added, and it's just for me. A manager could use this report and filter by a particular team, or they can filter by particular additional users that are there. All of that's possible. That's Chris's report, okay? This report can also be marked as his favorite by just checking the little star at the top. And then the star will become helpful if you were ever going to refer back to just your favorite reports. You could go into view reports, and then one of the filters that you have for all of the reports is my favorite. And just those reports that you've marked will show up. Okay. That is a very simple report. Okay. You're going to get more of that a little later. Second. Let me see what this next one is. Let me skip this one. One moment. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. So use your QR code and we're going to, when building a report, what should I focus on first? You got 30 seconds. Is it adding all available fields, making the report visibly impressive, clarifying the business question or goal, choosing advanced logic? So what would you say is your very first thing when you're building a report? Okay, keep going. You got 10 seconds left. Okay, so everybody was right. It's clarifying the business question or the business goal. Very good. Um, okay, so let's go now into, let me go back to the slides here, making data meaningful. So that's why we have filters. The filters are going to answer who, what, and when. So instead of having all of the contacts or all of the opportunities that have ever existed, no matter what stage or status they're in, we're going to say, I don't want all of them. I want a subset of that. I want to know between this date and this date, how many leads were created. Okay. So maybe it's for the last quarter or the last year or the last 7 days. How many have converted to an opportunity in the last 7 days? That's the filter. You are minimizing. It's kind of like the big funnel, right? All of them are going to be going into the top of the funnel. You're going to filter it down to the piece of information that you want out of all records. Okay. Then you're going to group them. So groups are where you're going to see patterns. And patterns are connections or categories, if you will, of information. You're going to group data into all of the sales stages, group by sales stage of all the opportunities. So every opportunity that's in this particular filter group are going to be into the negotiation review sales stage or the closed one sales stage, whatever sales stages you want to group them by. And then summaries, so this is the results of your grouping, are going to show you more like trends. This is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing where we have a lot of leads that are coming in at the very beginning of the sales cycle, and we don't have very many at the end. So what's either the bottleneck or the issue of why we're not progressing those through? And every month we seem to be having the same issue where most of them are down at the bottom, the beginning stages, and we're not getting them faster through the sales cycle. So obviously, those are things that are going to matter to you. If you just wanted a list of all the records, then just go to the list view and contacts, and you can filter some easy things there. The reason why reports are important is because you can filter and add fields from related modules. Okay. Related modules meaning I want to pull some data that's the industry from the account into my report for opportunities or my category of maybe a case. What is this particular situation? I want to group that information differently based on related modules. Okay. So another quick poll. This one has to do with what's the primary purpose of filtering a report? Real easy one. Okay. Let me start it. If I can pull this over. What's the primary purpose? So it's going to blank out my screen for just a few seconds while it's going, okay? Unless you didn't see you're in the same app that you're in. What's the primary purpose for filtering a report? You're filtering it. And I'd actually take two separate answers here. Got about 10 seconds left. What is the primary purpose of filtering a report? Okay, so most of you picked the decide which records are included. That's true. That's very black and white, right? It's either included or not included based on the filter. But it also can help you organize your data, right? Because if it's not filtered by a particular thing, especially if you put runtime filters in, right? I can have it look one way when I filter, and it can look completely different if I run it by a different filter. So that's true. And it helps you compare values if you're also doing runtime also. Shows trends, that's more of the summary, but it can show trends too, depending on what you're filtering by, right? It could do that too. But the best answer I would say is decide which records are included in the report itself. Okay. So let's talk about grouping, filtering, and summarizing data. So visualizing um, reports with charts. So filtering is the who, what, when. That's how you filter down to the specific records that you want. Then within those records, you're going to group them into categories, right? I'm going to group all these cell stages together and these cell stages together and these cell stages together, okay? So that I then can see a summary that's going to highlight some type of trend that I'm interested in. Okay. So point in that group, there it is, found it. Oh, we're going to skip that question. So let's talk about save, schedule, and share, and then we're going to go into the other two reports that we can create within Sugar. So um, save for reuse, right? You can save any type of report you want. If you just click preview and you don't ever save it, then it's gone. You go somewhere else, that report you just created is over. So make sure you go to the very last step and then you can save, schedule the report and share it. So let's say that I find a report in my reports module. So I'm going to take off my filter here and I'm going to just type in pipeline. See how many show up. Okay, I've got three. One of these may be great, right? For me, I may want to tweak it a little bit. Let's see the report. So this is Chris we're logged in as, and that whatever this report is, maybe it looks okay, but I want to tweak it some. Okay. If it's not his report, then he basically needs to do a save as. So we call that duplicate. You're going to duplicate this report and then be able to see additional information. I don't know why that's taken so long. I'm going to refresh. I maybe have too many things open on my side. Hold on. My bandwidth maybe. One moment. Okay, so what you would do is go to once it pulls up, just pretend, if you will, you see the report. Then you're going to go to duplicate, and duplicate will take you right back through. First thing it wants to know, do you want the way the report is right now, or do you want to change it to a different type? And let's say we want to change it to summation with detail, and it will start the wizard over again, right? The only thing that's going to be different is when you get down to the steps that it hasn't covered, for example, where's my arrow? Um, Summation doesn't display the data because it doesn't show detailed data. Okay, can you hear me better now? Yes. Okay, thank you. I'm taking the headset off. All right, let me move this a little bit closer to me. There we go. Okay, so we're going to create a quick report, and the report we're going to create is from opportunities. And we're going to do a summation of detail. So we're going to have the report details in a like the high level numbers plus all the data underneath it. So instead of doing every opportunity that's out there, I want everything that has a expected close date of this year. Okay. And I want to make it runtime. So myself or anybody else we'll be able to do that. Okay. So that's my one filter. I could also say I only want it for a particular group of people, especially if I was doing like a manager creating this report. But in this case, it's just for Chris. He just wants to see expected close dates. Now, because of that, let me do also put his name as the username. So just his that are expected to close this year. We'll make it runtime. And then we're going to find a group. We want to group these, let's say, by cell stage. And what summary is for the trends, like what do I want to know? I want to know count, how many. And let's say I also want to know the average, um, likely amount of each of the cell stages in each cell stage, like the likely average of each one and the total, right? How many? Um, Total, not average, just the sum. Sorry, couldn't think of the word. So I want to know all these things, how many opportunities are in that cell stage, the average likely amount of each opportunity. So it would be the average, and then what all of them total together. Okay, I want to know all of that for just each cell stage, just Chris's opportunities that are this year. Okay. Then here's the data. Here's the actual details of the record. So I'm going to put the opportunity name, the account name, we already know the cells, what it's going to be. So probability. Okay. Then the probability. There it is. Okay, let's just keep it simple of that. And then I'm going to put a chart in. I like funnels I mean, who doesn't for pipeline stuff, but I don't want it on the count. I want it on the sum likely amount. It has to be one of the things that I put into the summary to actually pull to create the chart. Then I'm going to name it. So CO, and this is um, pipeline by user by expected close date. And I'm even going to say by cell stage. That's pretty detailed, but that's good. Even if an opportunity doesn't have an assigned user, I want to see it in the report, which isn't really going to matter because I said filter by Chris. So if it's not Chris, it's not going to be in the report anyway. So I'm going to click save and run. So here's his chart at the top. I'm going to mark it as his favorite. The groupings are here. So this cell stage is prospect. There is two of them. The average amount is this amount, and the total of all of his in this particular cell stage is $5,708.50. Okay. So let's say you then want to take that chart or take this particular chart that you created and you want to add it to a dashboard. Maybe one that you already have created yourself. So I'm going to go to create dashboard. I'm just going to call it Chris's dashboard. And I'm just going to add my one dashlet to it, the one I just created. So to add a chart dashlet, you're going to use the hover menu and create add dashboard. And then I'm going to just type up here because it's easier. Report, there it is, report dashlet. Easy peasy. Right? There we go. I would create a dashlet that's for list view for reports, just like if it was a list view for opportunities or list view for others. So I'm just going to search by CO and the two that I've done. I'm going to pick that one and click save. And then my chart will show up here at the top. Okay. I'm not sure why it's freezing for some of you. I'm sorry. I'm going to look back at the recording and verify that it looks okay. If it's bad, I'll just re-record it for everybody. Okay. Thank you so much for being patient with me. Okay, so one other thing I want to do is in reports, I want to show you scheduling. So I'm going to go back into my report. And up here at the top right-hand corner has all the actions. So I can share this. This is just going to open up Word and it's going to give them the link. So only someone who is a user of Sugar will be able to click on the link and actually show the report. So share is only if they're another user of Sugar. Scheduling, I can schedule, report schedule, and it is its own module inside of Sugar. So it has I can create. So there's none right now. I can say I want this to be for weekly um, team meeting. And it could come out, obviously. It's already defaults to weekly. And I want it to start on next Monday at 8 a.m. And this is my time, 8 a.m., okay, because I'm the user creating it. And I want it to come as a PDF. You could do a CSV file. And you could even embed it if you want to, but we're not going to do that. I think that's just the team. Yeah, you can see it. Okay, so here's the record. And see how it only has one user, Chris. He's the only one that's in this, but I could add more. I could say, okay, sorry, wrong one. I want to link an existing record. These are other users, right? And I want to add Jim and Melissa. Add. And now on Monday morning at 8 a.m. my time, it's going to send a PDF of this report to Melissa, Chris, and Jim. Okay? Can we schedule a report in a way that is including a link to the report in the email and embed data? So you can, you can embed the actual report in the email, the chart or the data, and you mean something else. You just want to embed the data. If you do, you just go down to data table, okay? And it will embed it actually into the email. Okay, cool. Save. Now, if anybody else sees this, because you said global, anybody can see this particular schedule, right? They can come in here and add their name if they want here to get this report also. So that's why it's always a good idea to search first. So if I go back into reports and in the menu for reports, I select the report schedules. Already the name of it, whatever you're calling this particular report, and then going on. Okay, hold on 1 second, people. Okay. So that's scheduling report. We also talked about save as. You can save it when you're creating the report and saving it when you do an edit and save. You can do it that way too. Okay, let me go back to the slides here. Enhanced forecasting and advanced reports. Okay, so what we were talking about is just the standard out of the box reports. There is the ability to do other types of reports. So when does the standard reports aren't enough for you? If you need to do a report that has historical information, right now there's not a way to say, as of this date, I want to create this particular information. You need to do a enhanced report, enhanced forecast report. If I have complex joins between different modules, if I need to do an audit style reporting, if it's a highly custom logic that I'm putting in based on some kind of sugar logic that I'm going to put just into the report, not into an actual record. I also need to do a different type of report. So the two that we're talking about, first one's called an advanced report. So you have to know SQL because it is a SQL-based custom report, and it's built from the advanced report section in the reports module. You have to know custom queries, data formats, and advanced format. And then it's going to give you a advanced report record that's going to look like this at the bottom, which still looks very legacy to me. So it is a legacy module. It has not been upgraded, if you will, to the um, sidecar version. And that is the implementation that it also is called enhanced forecasting. So this is an example of what it looks like. You build it on in this little bar over here to the left that has the formatting and the type of charts you want, the filters, and what data you want in each one of the columns. So it's going to help you set or build sales forecasting, quotas, roll-ups, and visibility, and design for managers and reps. It doesn't have to just be, just because it says enhanced doesn't mean it's only for management itself. Anyone can do these. I'm going to give you some more help on these at the end of class to actually go in and create them. If you have Cell Premier for enhanced forecasting, and if you know how to do SQL, you can do advanced report, excuse me. So just as next steps, kind of a takeaway list for you, start simple, right? Don't do the most complex report you can, or even if you've got a scenario, break it down into the simplest form first, then create it. So have success. The particular um, workflow or the particular report or data that you need or business goal that you have is more advanced and you need to use a different tool besides standard. So we have a whole bunch of additional information here, and I'm going to copy them, and you do not have to go through any of them right now, but I'm going to put them into chat if it will copy. Okay. I'm probably going to have to clean up the um, recording because some audio is going in and out. I'm very sorry about that. And for some reason, I can't get it to. Here we go. Yep. You will get all of the additional resources um, after class too. Oh, for some reason, it's not copying. So just to break it down for you first, the application guys are really good. That it calls it Sugar Discover, this enhanced forecasting. They're called enhanced forecasting reports, but in documentation, it's called Sugar Discover. It used to be called Sugar Discover plain. That's it. It never was renamed. So I just wanted to put the name in there just so you know the difference. There's also a section if you know SQL and you want to start creating reports in Sugar. Advanced reports is a good one. There's a help article that just says identifying user roles via the enhanced report. So that's the little example I gave you of advanced reports where it just says user by role. That's just the filter that it did. Then just go to Sugar Club and put in the word reports. Oh my goodness, you're going to get so many results. So break it down to either Sugar Discover, advanced reports, or if you have a specific thing about, you have a question about report filters or report group by or summaries, then filter by those particular words also. But these are just some examples that I have, and you'll be getting those afterwards in the slides. And also, I've added them into the handout too. So if you already have opened up the handout, which let me see if it'll let me even do that right now. I think Zoom is having some issues. Then you'll be able to access them that way. Okay, so several ways you can get these particular things. On February the 17th to the 19th, from 10 to 1 Central Daylight Time, we're going to have an admin class. And if you use this code admin FUN50, admin FUN50, and if you don't get it and you forget it or you don't write it down, just always university at sugarcrm.com, email us and we'll send it to you. And that's just for this February class. This is where you're going to learn how to do users, teams, and roles and team-based permissions, create a new module, export and import, outbound email, forecasting, and troubleshooting. Okay. I didn't get any additional questions that I didn't answer live, but you are welcome to email university@sugarcm.com. If I get any before I need to send this to marketing so they can send it out, I will add those questions and answers to that list, and it will be on the Sugar Club page that you get in the next uh, 24 or 48 hours. Okay. Start simple with reports. If you have Cell Premier, start looking at some of the videos on how to create enhanced forecast reports. If you know how to use SQL, try out the you can watch them previously by going to Sugar Club and then just putting in the name of the web series. Okay. And you also will have a link to that also on your email that you get from our marketing team. Okay. Thank y'all so much for attending. I'm so sorry for the issues with the visual and the audio. I am going to check if Zoom was the issue. If so, we may have to do some corrections, but I will do the recording again if it is bad, and that will be the one that goes out. Okay. You all have a great rest of your day. Hope you have learned a little bit, or there's new things that you know what to do when it comes to reports. And I did not put the answers. Let's see if it will let me put the answer in. There we go. I put the answer handout. It's loading right now. If you give it a few seconds, I'm not going to end until it actually loads up. But if you're done, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for attending, and hopefully see you in class next week. Bye-bye.